And there we go.
Oh, yes, a little bit of technical difficulty there. Apologize. You heard Rush. I keep inviting Geddy Lee, but he doesn't want to join.
I'm driving up to Toronto. I'm gonna find him.
Yeah, I know he's busy right now. I get
Right.
it.
Yeah, he was in Los Angeles the other day.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, man, what's he doing?
So watching the Jays, him and Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I know, but like wearing Dodger uniform, like
right.
What is wrong with you? Welcome everybody to Cardboard and Cold Ones, where we raise our beers and cheers to the legends we admire.
Very much so. 50
on the cardboard that we collect. On the cardboard we.
How did you wear? You are you half asleep tonight?
Had a long week, man. Long week.
I get it. Trust me.
But we got a special show tonight, man. Episode number 50. We've reached 50 episodes.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy, man. We're going to be doing a special edition called How Would You Collect, where we're bringing on Chris from Missouri, Tony from Southern Collector, and Aaron from Value Vintage Cards. We're going to bring them on shortly, but just to kind of give you a premise of how this is going to work, let me pull the slide up. So these are the 5 cards, and the idea is like from your least favorite or the least likely card you would buy, or let me reset. All these cards would be cards you would buy. But as far as like which card would you buy first, second, third, fourth, and so on.
Yeah, your priority based on if you have unlimited funds. What are you buying first, second, third, and fourth?
If funds were not a problem, how would you do this? How would you collect? So everybody, Chris made his selections, Tony made his selections, Aaron, Jason, and myself. We all made selections. And you guys can predict along the way. How would everybody pick? How would Chris pick? How would Tony pick? How would Aaron pick? And so forth. Let's see how close you guys can get. I think it would be kind of fun, and we'll go one at a time, and we'll have some fun with it. But before we jump in, let's do the roll call. So first tonight is Andy from Dog Ate My Card Collector. What is up, Andy? Jacob Dahl is here. Mike R. Good evening. Looks like the 76 Cincinnati Reds lineup on here tonight. Love it. eBay is here. What's up, eBay? Forever known as eBay. I don't want to know his real name ever. Don't tell. I don't want to find out that your name is John or something like that.
Right. It'll disappoint.
Oh, completely. Negro fan 35. Hope keeping the fireball ready.
There's Billy. There he is.
Yeah, man. Matt from the Card Story. Happy 50th. Yes, sir. Matt just got a gigantic card, which I don't know if he's received it yet. Hopefully he did.
Matt, and when you helped him with?
I sort of like facilitated. Well, he sort of facilitated his own deal, but I was there at the show where the card was, and I was able to get
what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Massive card.
Yes.
Sven is here. Dave from Peacemaker Cards. Great guest tonight. Yes. Melissa is here. Jeremy is here. Pastor Craig. Mike Good made good on this beer. That Union Craft still has not gotten back to my phone calls, not got back to my emails, but Mike Good made good on getting me some Zadies. So thank you, Mike. Cheers. eBay's apparently talking trash. Jason has hair. Did he lose?
I knew someone was going to say something as rare as I think this is like the 3rd or 4th time I've shown myself without a hat. So
yeah, man. I'm here for the Rockstar panel tonight. Ruben is here. What's up, Ruben? Bizza Rizza Jizza, watching from the card room. That is awesome. I've seen those pictures of his card room. They're excellent.
Amazing, right?
Yeah. eBay's made his prediction. Wagner, Gowdy, Ruth, Mantle, Cobb, other Ruth. What's up, all? What is up, ET? Good to have you here. Diamond Gems. And, of course, Double D is here with the double shaka. Well, single shaka for me. Let's see. Hello, all. Go Jays. Steven is here. Jake T. O'Donnell. Sam, looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Seeing you soon. Yes.
Saturday, right?
Yeah, it's Saturday. Yep. He'll be at the show tomorrow at the Shriner show.
Okay.
Hi to 2 great card creators. I don't think we create cards, but card collectors.
Could.
Something like that. Vintage on Vintage. What's up, Steve? Good to have you here, friend. Scheduled to arrive Saturday. That's awesome, Matt. And we are ready to go, man. Let's bring these guys in. I'm going to unmute the mics for these guys. And you're going to bring Aaron, Tony, Chris, Thank you guys for dealing with our monologue.
That was smooth.
So
Thank you.
if this was a 5-card hand of poker, would Chris be the Joker? What are we looking at here? Do I got to redraw?
Chris is the king.
Did you make that up yourself?
I thought about it overnight just for you.
Okay, well, that's not bad. That's not bad.
So as you guys know, these are the 5 cards we're going to be going over. I asked each of these guys to come up with their list. We're going to start with the out of the 5 cards, which one would be their least choice. So we're going to go kind of work our way backwards to the favorite choice ultimately. And so I figured we'll kick things off, unless you guys unless you guys want to keep beating each other up, Jason and Chris.
I love Chris.
Hey, I haven't hardly said anything bad about Jason tonight.
You hardly.
Hardly. It's usually in the chat, so it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. And guys are a lot stronger and tougher when they're chatting and then
right, exactly.
All right. Let's see. For these 5 cards and panels, is the Royal Flush. My good is making good even more. So,
look at that.
All right. So let's see if I can control this. All right. I can't do anything about this stupid thing that's popping up. So, all right, you're gonna just have to live with that. Let me see if I can.
There you go. You reduce it.
Yeah, I'm kind of resizing the screen. There we go. Up. Now it's back. All right, I can't do anything about that. I don't know why it's not disappearing. Crap. Okay. Well, the 5 cards. Or the 5 cards, it starts at the bottom, so it might get blocked out a bit. Oh, there we go. So we'll start with Chris as the 5th least likely choice pick out of the 5 cards that you guys saw. You picked the Ty Cobb back, the Ty Cobb T206 with the Ty Cobb back. Why out of the 5 was that your least?
Well, okay. I looked at it 2 ways. I know you said up front if we had unlimited funds, right?
Yeah.
I looked at it. Okay, if I was going to pick up all 5 of these cards, my mission was to pick up all 5 of these cards, that I would do that one last because I have a T206 Ty Cobb red, a red portrait Ty Cobb, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I very seldom look at the back of it. And, I guess I probably do. But if I'm going to look at it for 10 minutes, 9 minutes and 45 seconds, we'll be looking at the front of it. And so that Ty Cobb, just because it says Ty Cobb on the back doesn't mean anything to me. And so actually, if I had unlimited funds to get these 5 cards, I probably wouldn't even pick up this one. I would save the price that this one is to pick up a better version of the rest of those 4. Now, I like the Ty Cobb. It's one of my favorite Ty Cobbs of the T206s. But it would be the last one just because I feel like I have that card. I have that card, except it's worth hundreds of $1,000s less than that card.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I appreciate the that explanation. It's everyone has a different reason, for their collection choices, and I think what you're mentioning is perfectly valid, and eBay agrees, which. Even better. So let's get into Jason's. So Jason picked a Gaudi.
I did. So clearly Chris is wrong, first and foremost. Secondly, I kind of looked at this a little bit differently. Obviously my direction of how I've been collecting has changed a little bit, and I work within my budget, so I work still within my limitations of what I can spend, but availability, and Aaron can correct me if I'm using it in the wrong phrase because he's looked this up in the dictionary. Scarcity is something that's important to me, and we didn't specify which Gaudi, but they're all pretty plentiful. Right. So that being said, because they're plentiful, it falls shorter down on my list. If I truly have unlimited funds and I can buy all 5 of these. That's almost like looking at the 68 Willie Mays, versus something a little more expensive, a little more difficult to get. So when we're ranking these cards, to me, they're out there. So that's why it hit the bottom of my list. Like I can get that at any point in time in comparison to the other cards on the list.
Perfectly. Yeah, that's fair, man.
That is the correct answer, Chris. By
Yeah.
the way.
But yours, it's baffling to me because you almost made sense. And are you somebody talking for you behind? Are you like sitting on somebody's lap with their hand up somewhere?
I got Moynihan in my ear.
Oh,
I got an earpiece.
well, then that even doubles. Holy cow! No, that makes sense, but not as much as mine. But
Cool, man. Let's go to Tony. Tony, you also picked the Ruth.
Look at
Yeah.
what a smart man.
Yeah. Me and Jason, great minds think alike. But, so yeah, I mean,
now Tony's scared that Tony's going, oh gosh, I'm thinking like Jason.
well, if Jason had his hat on, we'd be a lot closer.
Right.
There, but you don't want me to take my hat off. That's a disaster. But no, I mean, same thing as what Jason said. I'm going for whatever. I like scarcity, and that's the way I collect. And so if you look at gem rate and you looked up all these cards, this one is going to be the most plentiful of all of them. Now, to Mike Good's point, if that sucker had a signature on it, it's jumping to number one.
Let me go back to
Like
this
no joke, because there are cards. This card right here, there are cards of this, the yellow background, all four of them. There are the Uncle Jimmy collection cards. If this was an Uncle Jimmy with that fountain pen signature right across that white jersey, that's number one, but it doesn't. So we didn't specify that. So that's where I'm at.
We always have to preface if it's autographed for Tony.
Yeah, that's right. Now the other ones, I don't believe. Well, the mantle, they're signed mantles, but the other three, you're not finding those in an autograph card.
All right, man. Let's go to Aaron. Aaron also picked.
Oh, look at this! Look at this, Chris.
Okay, am I being punked? Am I being punked right now? I just want to know that.
Sometimes being wrong becomes obvious. Yeah. No, I think same reason of all the cards shown, and I didn't even think about it that way, Chris. I like your point on the T206 because I do have that red Cobb as well. So I think in my mind I would almost display the thing backwards because that's the cool feature of the red Cobb if it's the tie Cobb kind of thing. But
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, I mean, it's in terms of the Gaudi roots, like that's on the lifetime goal. In the next decade, I should own all those. So it's, I have one. So to me, that's the most accessible. That's the least like wow factor. I know we're going to see them at Strongsville. A lot of the other ones were not. So that's kind of where I go with it. Scarcity wins always.
Yep.
I can't remember what I picked, so we're gonna just see how this goes. Let's see.
Look at that.
One of these things are not.
Guys,
like the
I got a thing. I gotta do my hair or something.
Yeah.
So I think I picked the Gaudi because Chris picked the Ty Cobb back. No, I think honestly, I think I'm kind of aligning with what Tony mentioned as far as scarcity, and so I probably, even though some of the other cards listed are not as scarce, it's you're kind of just weighing iconic versus iconic at that point to decipher which one is the better buy. So it's these weren't easy choices, obviously, but yeah, that was my.
I do have to say, and I absolutely hate to do this, but I will say Chris brought up an extremely valid point with the fact that the only difference being the back. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I do not own the red Cobb like
What
Aaron
was
and
that,
Chris.
Jason? I didn't hear you say that. A little
You are
louder.
semi-correct. You're kind of correct.
semi.
All right,
And I didn't say erect. I said correct.
Okay.
let's go to we'll go to round two now. So the fourth card, Chris, you picked the Gaudi here.
Well, I did that for the same reason you guys did it. So initially when I thought of the cards, the order of the cards that I was going to go in, I was going to pick up what I really didn't think the Cobb would mean much to me picking it up. because of that, because I had one. But the Ruth is one that is on my list. It's on my short list of big cards to pick up. And so I figured if it could make my short list of cards to pick up, it ought to be farther down on my list to pick up. It's a great card. If I had the other 3 of those cards that are in that set, that might even be lower on my set, right? I want one of those. Going after 4 of them is on my list, but after I pick this card up, the other 3 are going to wait, right? So that's why it's the same reason you guys had it on list. Now, I'm not saying Jason's not brighter or anything, but he wanted to buy one to TTM it the other day, and I had to tell him he couldn't get it signed that way.
I sent it to John Goodman's house. I don't know why.
Well, I mean, I'll put it this way: like, I can go on eBay right now and grab one of those. I can go on eBay and grab a 52 Mantle, but those other ones, you ain't going on eBay and grabbing those. So it's kind of like with me looking at auctions and eBay and everything else. I tend to gravitate towards the stuff that I can't get all the time. Like if I see one of those that I can't get all the time, it ain't got to be a $100,000 card. It can be, like today I picked up a Propagandist the Higo card. It's $5,000, but the pop count on those are really low. I would gravitate towards that versus this Ruth because I can get that any day, and then it makes it not as exciting. So that's where I'm at. That's why I don't own one, honestly.
Let's go to Jason's pick. Jason, you picked the Mantle, the 52 Mantle.
So it's following the premise. The 5th and 4th pick in my world are following the premise that we've been discussing, right? You see these everywhere. You can get it at any point in time. We're talking about unlimited funds. We have to focus on that. I just keep saying we have unlimited funds. So that being said, the next 3 cards after this are far more scarce than this card. This card can be found on eBay, just like Tony said, or at any major show, you're going to see 1 or 2 or 10 of these. So the other thing that somewhat bothers me with this card is, and don't get me wrong, I love it, but it's almost like a false market for this card. I kind of feel like the market is just, it's not even real at this point in time. So that would bother me even if I had unlimited funds. Where would I appropriate my money in the other 3 cards before I would on this? Certainly. So
cool, man. All right, so move to Tony. Tony also picked the Mantle.
Yeah. Now let me preface this. I'm not a high grade collector. But if I had unlimited funds and I could buy Marshall Fogel's 10, then I would probably grab that. That'd probably be the top of my list. But if I'm looking at just normal, like you could pick up a Mantle, it's probably going to be in a 1 or a 2 or something like that. It's going to be massively off center. And I owned one at 1.2. So, it doesn't, strike that. It doesn't hold that dream thing for me anymore. So yeah, that's why, again, it's not that rare. I think the universal pop count on it's like 1,900. So, you can find one.
Isn't it fair to say, Tony, didn't you move it to getting stuff more scarce anyways?
I did. I moved it to get the Josh Gibson Toloteros card, which again is right what I'm talking about,
Right.
There's only 30 of those.
That's crazy. Those cards are so that Josh Gibson is like the pinnacle.
Well, I love it.
It's a great card.
It is.
Aaron, let's see what you picked. Oh, I went too far.
Oh, dang it! You're lining up with him.
I have been far. My bad, Aaron.
Yeah, all good. I'm checked the same box, and I looked at it too of like my lifetime collecting goals and ideas. I think I'm very much into the rare scarce grouping, but at the same time there's something to the classic iconic. Group of us were chatting about that. There's still something to some of those cards. So like at some point I would like to have a 52 Mantle because I think that's still such a marquee. That is, top 2 iconic cards in the entire hobby. But
I agree.
But to me, this was still accessible. Like I will own a 52 mantle in my life. I've got lots of years to collect ahead. So that's why I put it at 4. It's accessible. I'll have one. The other 3 I won't.
So you saw my pick was this was a tough one because I was teetering on putting this one higher, but I I'm thinking like, oh man, there's no excuse. What the hell was I thinking?
Just fall on Chris's excuse. It was wrong, but you can use it.
But yeah, it's a tough call. I started getting in my head like, thinking, well, limited funds, how tough is it to find a higher grade 52 mantle, or and it becomes more challenging as the grades, as the scale goes up. So, but to your point, though, to Tony's point and Aaron, you guys mentioned how they're out there. 1,800 plus of them exist, and so but with the Cobb, I kind of agree with Chris that there's obviously a ton of T206 Cobbs out there. The Ty Cobb back makes it more special, but to own one, just to have one in general, whatever back it might be, I mean, that's pretty special in of itself. So that's my stupid excuse.
That sounds very intelligent to me.
Well, before we go any further, let me rake the flippers here. And what's the rules if you have limited funds? Which cards did you pick up?
Well, he doesn't know we had to pick between 5. He's thinking we're just randomly picking cards out of the wild.
No. So let me. Yeah, I meant to.
Rick's shouting at clouds on his front porch right now.
Yeah.
I meant to kind of reassess the premise of this. So for those that are joining, like Rick the Flipper, who's yelling at clouds, the premise of this is that we've had 5 cards that we're picking from. I'd have to go back a slide, which I really can't do at the moment, but I think it's a 33 Gowdy, Ty Cobb back, T206,
52 mantle,
the Baltimore Ruth, and the Honus Wagner. Those are the 5 cards. And we're going from least to most desirable as far as our picks.
Out of those 5.
Yeah, that's the premise in case anybody's joining in, not really sure what the hell's going on. That's what's going on. So there you have it.
So, Rick, get off our lawn.
All right, so let's go to the next round. Chris, let's see what you picked. So Chris picked the mantle in 3rd here.
So my thinking on this, again, my thinking is you can peel the Cobb off because of what I said earlier. I got a red Cobb. The Babe Ruth to me is an easier card to pick up than the Mickey Mantle, sort of like what you get. I mean, it's on my list. Out of the 5 cards, the Mantle and the Ruth have made my short list, of cards that I want to pick up. I'm gonna own a Mickey 52 Topps Mickey Mantle someday. But starting out back in the day collecting, this was the card of cards for me. One of my dad's favorite players, heard a ton about him. He was in all the books. Everybody, he even back in the Stone Ages when I was 10 or so, I knew the Wagner was unattainable, right? I always thought, this was unattainable too. But when you start, your collection starts getting bigger and bigger, I could pick up this Mantle, right? It would hurt me to trade a lot of cards for it, trade what I have, but I could get this, and I'm going to get it sometime soon. But it's in the middle of my list. I still look at it as the bottom of my list because I would pick up those other. If it was unlimited funds, I'd pick up the other 2 as fast as I could because they would be the most difficult. This I could pick one up tomorrow. I don't want to trade any of my cards. I don't want it to hurt my collection or hurt my feelings, but I love the card. I want the card. I wouldn't go after it so fast. I'd go after the 2 that's ahead of it. That's where I stand on it.
I can't imagine a 52 mana would hurt your feelings.
No, but taking cards out of my collection to get to this, I mean, I'd love for him to get, take all my 73 Hall of Famers, all my 74 Hall of Famers. Somebody's not going to be that dumb. They're going to, if I'm going to trade for a 52 mantle, they're going to go after a couple of my Ruths, my Ty Cobbs. They'll drain me of some cards that are special to me. But anyway.
Cool. All right, man. Cool. Let's get to Jason's pick. Let's see where Jason decided to go. All right, Ty Cobb.
All right, so that's I would say I was going to use Chris's premise because that sounded like it actually made sense with the back being the special part of the card. But quite honestly, didn't even think of that at the time. Basically, what this comes down to for me is the last 2 cards in the of the 5 are the scarcest in my world, in my head at least. Although this is very, very scarce. But I know someone in the chat was mentioning earlier, I think it was Double D or Lou, they were talking about iconic. And again, unlimited funds, I can buy all 5. Just in what order am I buying them in? Now I'm looking at the iconic measure of the card itself, right? So what makes this iconic is the back. That is a point that Chris brought up that is extremely valid. So there's a lot of the red Cobbs out there. So if the back is what's the most iconic, it's more scarce than the 2 below it, but the 2 above it are just more scarce and iconic in general. So that's why I went this way.
Rick is really demonstrating that get off my lawn attitude.
If it was oversized, I would certainly buy that first. Absolutely, Rick.
Yeah, Tony has all these cards.
No, I don't have any of them. I have a red Cobb, but I don't have that one.
I would also argue that Aaron has all these cards too.
Yeah, Aaron's just quietly sitting there, and he's amassed half of these already.
Red Cobb only.
So let's get to Tony's pick next. Tony, you also picked the Cobb.
Yeah, I mean, Chris made a lot of sense. Honestly, it kind of struck a chord with me. But it's a really cool card. It's scarce. At the National, that one dude had one in his case. He had all the red Cobbs and all the backs, and I got to hold that one in my hand. But what was wild about it, he had one of these Zon cases. It ain't a Zon, but whatever brand it was, where you could display a card in the lid of the case, and he had this one displayed. And he had it turned around backwards where you saw the back. You didn't see the front. You just read the back. And that was cool in and of itself. But, yeah, Chris, you're right, buddy. Now, in a world where we don't have unlimited funds, owning a red Cobb is a big deal. It doesn't matter if it's Piedmont, whatever it is, it can be one of the most plentiful ones. Just having a red Cobb is a big deal. And I would choose that with, I'd choose a 1 with high eye appeal for a 1. Maybe it has a stain on it or something like that. In my world, that's what I'd do. But if you have unlimited funds, you'd go for the best one. So, and that's the best red Cobb.
Somebody said it earlier about that Cobb showing the backside of that Cobb.
Yeah.
So if I had that Cobb, I would put it next to the Cobb that I have over here on the red Cobb that I have on the wall. And I wouldn't have it here though. Probably I'd have it in a bank somewhere.
Yeah.
But I guess I'd be paying 2 armed guards to stand by it. But I would show this red Cobb that I have on the wall. And then if I had that card, the Ty Cobb back, I would show that with the Ty Cobb back. That to me, that makes pretty good sense. But there's not a whole lot of cards. There are some cards out there, but there's not a ton of cards that the back of the card is the meat and potatoes of that card, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this Cobb here might be that Cobb.
It's
that
the
card,
only
right?
one, really, in my
Yeah.
Aaron, let's see what you picked. Also the Cobb. Seems like
Yeah.
you, Jason, and Tony are in cahoots, man.
Did you guys have to stay after school on a Saturday and talk about cards? Did you? You guys get in trouble?
It was like that Breakfast Club movie.
Yeah.
It's just smart people, Chris. You're just not included in that.
Chris
group.
was that teacher putting us in ISS there.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I mean, all the same reasons, and it's funny because I've thought about the T206. I said earlier I don't really collect common cards, but I've thought about doing a back run for the heck of it, and I would display them backwards. I would show the variety of back because that is the cool part to it. It's not necessarily seeing 16 copies of X or a bunch of commons, but to see the back variety is kind of a cool thing. But it's just getting into the rarity and scarcity, and for me, I put this third because it's going to have the least, when you have to explain to somebody why it's awesome, I think that loses a little bit of the appeal. Whereas a Babe Ruth, they'd be like, it's Babe Ruth. And I've never seen that. Like, all right, let's talk about it. Ty Cobb, they'd be like, it's like the other one, but why is this one, has 2 extra digits in the price? Well, let me tell you, that's
right.
That loses it for me a little bit.
And and not trying to be funny or anything, but if you're showing your collection off and you have to explain it to a non-card collector that maybe is interested in your stuff, looking at your stuff, they would look at us and say, that Cobb's better than this Cobb just because the back of it says Ty Cobb.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I totally disagree with you. When I show people my collection, the cards I get most excited about are the guys they've never heard of. When I pull out a Larry Doby and I say, you know who this guy is? No. You know who Jackie Robinson is? Yeah. Well, let me tell you about Larry Doby. And I just get, they better just get ready because it's going to be 45 minutes of Larry Doby. So I love it when people don't know what in the world it is, and I get to tell them about it, and they get to see how excited I am. That, to me, that's the best.
But I think, and that makes sense because now you're talking about the history of the game, Tony.
Yeah.
Where I agree with Chris is you're simply to a person who's not a collector, or to a person who just is trying to appreciate what you've gathered as a collection, looks at 2 red Cobbs and one of them's a Piedmont and one of them's a Ty Cobb back. They're going to look at you and go, so you added 2 digits to that price simply because of the script on the back? I mean, it would almost be like, it doesn't have to do with the history of the player. I love that too. I love to tell, we always talk about Hall of Famers, but, I love Sherm Lawler. Larry Doby came 2 weeks after Jackie, and being able to explain that stuff, the Merkle Boner, things of that nature, that's awesome. But to me, it's a little different, only because the reason you're ponying up that money is simply for what it says on the back. And someone might look at you like you got 9 heads. If someone who didn't have unlimited funds would go, well, why didn't you just get the other one for way cheaper?
Yeah, but if you're that passionate about that Cobb and you would know the history behind it and why it's special, that a lot of people don't even consider it a T206. Right. It was a special issue. It was Ty Cobb's own tobacco company, and you could really get fired up explaining that to people. And they still may shake their head and think you're stupid and talk about you behind your back, but at least you were excited about it. Now, let me say this. There are some rich dudes out there that have fantastic collections who have no freaking passion, who don't even understand what they got. They just want it so they can say, I got it. Now, I don't respect that.
Right.
Screw that, man. If that's who you are, that ain't cool. But do you,
So I'll get to we'll finish the third round off with my pick. I think I picked Mantle. Let's see. Yeah. So I picked Mantle.
Sammy, you are by far the second smartest person on this panel. But go ahead.
It was a tough choice. Like I said, I was kind of going back and forth with this slide when I was working on it because I understand the premise behind the Cobb and the Ty Cobb back and how special and rare they are, and then you have the Mantle, which is kind of like just widely recognized as the face of the card of the hobby. Like, if you were to ask non-collectors about baseball cards, chances are people will bring up 2 cards, either Honus Wagner or the 52 Mantle. I think those are typically the 2 that are you would like. If I did a survey, they would probably pick one of those 2 cards.
The best part about that is, and you're right, Sammy, but how many people, like, if they weren't collectors, They
Yeah.
know the T206 Honus Wagner. They've seen it mainstream. But if you asked them about him and said, who did he play for? What did he do? What did he
Right.
mean to baseball? They couldn't. They can at least give
Probably
you,
not.
well, Mickey played for the Yankees, and
Sure.
he was one of the great. That's what blows my mind about that. But because of mainstream media and what the T206 meant in the hobby, and that was the card until the 52 Mantle absolutely blew up. People know what the T206 Honus Wagner is. They just don't know about him. Now we're getting back to Tony talking about being fired up or not, right? Like, you should be fired up about a Honus Wagner card, and this is why.
Mhm.
And I don't know that everybody would understand that.
I got a deep question here. It's probably going to go way off topic or something,
Okay.
which would be
Oh, boy.
somebody else's channel.
Oh, boy.
But so Tony, we're all getting to be seasoned collectors. I mean, we are. We've been, but Tony, not now, but the whole time that you collected, when you got your Mickey Mantle, 52 Topps Mickey Mantle, at the time you got that, were you more excited about getting that card as you were years later picking up the Josh Gibson? For instance, I was really super excited to pick up my Satchel Paige rookie card, right? I mean, I'm emotional like a little kid, but I can tell you, the most emotional I ever got about picking up a card was a 1954 Duke Snider, right? I was so excited about that. Now, it's not even in my top 100 cards now, but the feeling that I got when I picked that up is in the top one feeling. So I'm asking you, as a seasoned collector, did you have more emotion when you picked up that mantle, or is there another Cobb, or is there another card that you were more emotional about than that Josh Gibson?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Do you guys
yeah,
see what
I
I'm
mean,
getting at there?
I do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do.
I mean, look, things you kind of change as a collector over time. I think, at least I have. And the 52 Mantle was my lifelong dream card. And when I landed it, it sat on my bedside table for like a week. It went to work with me. And so, yeah, I was more excited about that one than I'd ever been. And I was kind of new in the hobby too. And I just couldn't believe it. It was in my hand. But so that was, yeah, that exactly. Now the card that when I was able to get it, and I knew it was on the way to me, that I couldn't sleep that night, was my signed 1950 Jackie Robinson.
Okay.
Like, I couldn't even freaking sleep, man.
Wow.
And when it got to me to open it up, like that's how those, like the signed Jackie Robinsons, that's what they do to me. Like, I can't, it gets me all like butterflies feeling, because he held that card, man. And he's such a historical figure, you know. And so anyways, yeah, that's what really turns me on now more than anything.
Anybody else on that? I know it's not my show, but I thought that
No,
was a
I
big
think that's
question.
a fair
No,
statement, and that's
yeah.
and the premise that you're bringing up, Chris, is going to fall in line with where I went in the next two cards. And the reason I say that is it doesn't necessarily have to be the most iconic to be the most exciting, right? There are two cards that come to mind when you ask Tony, when were you most excited? Mine was my 56 Mantle. Had never owned a Mantle, bought the Mantle, and was super, super excited. And then the other one was the Babe Ruth. Now, there's a story tied to the Babe Ruth with another gentleman on this panel, so it runs a little deeper. But the fact that I was able to get a Playing Days Babe Ruth, I still cherish that. That is still a tremendous deal to me. And it doesn't have to be crazy, crazy expensive. You know, we all live in different worlds. I'm in a different budget for my collecting, but shoot, man, people ask me what's your favorite card. That's the first card that comes out of my. I got a Playing Days Babe Ruth, and it's beautiful, and the image is phenomenal. And so yes, Chris, I know exactly where you were going with this, and it becomes what's more important is iconic. Are you getting that same feeling with iconic that you are with another card, even at another point in time when you were collecting? What did you say? 59 Duke Snider, right? Like
54 Bowman.
54 Bowman. So I think like a lot of that is just the time that you're collecting, right? That's a huge deal at the time. And maybe that's something you've been craving forever. you've got more expensive, more iconic cards, but that's the one that resonated with you when you bought it. So there's some legitimacy to that.
Well, the reason that was mine is I went to a card show with my dad, and a dealer told my dad that I didn't have that card, saying no way that kid has that, because the guy needed that Snyder and that Campy. And he said, my dad said, yeah, I think he has those. And the dealer said, no, he doesn't.
Didn't you come back? Didn't you bring him to him?
So my dad drove me 10 miles away, and the whole time he's telling me, you better have that card. You better have that card. And I had both those cards and brought it back to the dealer. And it was like, yeah, fist pumping kind of. I just sunk a 40-foot putt. And he traded me. I got a bunch of stuff from that guy, and he apologized for his arrogance. But that made me feel better than any card so far that I've ever.
Right.
So
That's awesome.
It's
I
not.
think-
It's very similar to what we've always said and what we all say on the channel. There's an emotion to collecting. There's an emotion to what you like. There's things that get your juices flowing. That's why we do what we do. And it's different for everybody. And that's what makes this awesome, because we can have 5 guys on a panel who collect completely different. And actually, Sammy had texted me when he had the idea for this episode, and I wasn't real clear, Sammy, on the premise. And he said, who should we ask? And I said, well, ask Aaron. He's pre-war. Ask Tony. He's signature cards. And ask Chris, because he's a post-war guy. Like, I was trying to get round. And then when I finally figured out, I'm like, oh, that doesn't make a difference to anything that we're doing. So, but it worked out. It worked out well. I'm like, oh wait, the reason that I was thinking, I'm like, him, and him. This is why.
Now
So
you
it's
put a
crazy.
Plain Days ballpoint pen signature on that mantle, and it's #1, dude.
Yeah.
Of course. I was thinking about including at least one autograph card, but I knew that was going to skew everything.
Yeah.
It would.
Tony. Like, everybody was like, oh, well, actually, it would have been interesting. Like, could Tony put an autograph card ahead of a T206 Honus Wagner?
Yeah, that would have been interesting. I would have to think. You
All
put
right,
a
so-
Leaf Jackie signed card there. Oof.
Juice is flowing.
All right, so we're going to get to the last 2, which kind of really are going to solidify everything, because once you know the second to last pick, you'll know the first. So really, at this point, it comes down to 2 cards, which everybody is leading to the last, which is the Baltimore Ruth and the Honus Wagner. So we're going to go with Chris's pick first, and make sure I don't do this twice. So Chris, you picked the Baltimore Ruth.
yeah, if I had this card, I'd have different friends. I wouldn't be hanging out with you guys. It's not my favorite Ruth card. It's not. Even after it's sold for what it sold for, my favorite, the Ruth card that I want is obtainable, and that's the Willard's Chocolate Babe Ruth. But this card's incredible. It could be #1, but I chose it #2 because I just recently heard about this card. I have never gone to sleep at night saying, dreaming about picking up this card in a find in a barn somewhere, or at a garage sale at the bottom of a big suitcase. So that's why it is my #2 and not my #1. That's pretty simple.
Okay. All right, Jason, I think your pick was, we're going to get to yours. Let's see what I can't remember what you did, but you picked the Honus Wagner.
I picked the Wagner. So that's where I kind of
Break
think I
apart.
derailed from what I was assuming was the norm, right? And the reason behind it is, in my world, the Wagner is the card of cards, right? It truly is. So now I'm looking at the fact that I have unlimited funds, and I'm thinking, and I'm resonating with some of the feelings I had as a kid. So as excited as I was as an adult to get the Plain Days Ruth, because it's Babe Ruth, because it's Ruth and who he is and what he means to American history beyond just baseball. Honus came second for some of the reasons that I was talking about earlier, where in my head, like, if I'm showing off my collection and I can say I've got the Baltimore Ruth, I'm going to be way more jacked about it, I think, just emotionally than I would be with the Wagner. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a very fine line. It's a very fine line. But this is where I kind of, in my head, I hemmed and hawed a little bit. And I think I derailed from what most would consider the norm. So that's why I went with the Honus as a second pick.
All right. Tony, let's see what you picked. You went with the Baltimore Ruth as well.
Yeah, so this is where kind of like Jason was saying, this is where I derailed because I'm preaching rarity. There's only, to Mike's question, there's only 9 of these. So there's, this is the rarest card on the list by I think the Ty Cobb back might be 20 or 13, somewhere in that range. I don't know if any of you guys know the exact pop count. But here's why. Now, if I had to choose between this Ruth and one of the M101 4 or 5s, the 1916 Ruth rookie card,
Yep.
that would be a tough one for me.
Yep.
But what's cool about this card is he left the orphanage or the boys' home, whatever you want to call it. He left that home to play on that team. And at that time, the Baltimore Orioles is the team it was. Their biggest competitor in town was the Federal League Baltimore Terrapins team. And they were only bringing in like 200 people a game. And the guy got pissed and couldn't make ends meet. And that's why he ended up selling his star players. And that's how Ruth ended up with Boston. So there's a historical value behind that card and that image. That is Babe Ruth at 18 years old that was so green that when he was on that team, he had never rode on a train before. And when they got to the first hotel, he kept riding up and down the elevator because he had never been in an elevator before. That's who's on that card right there. That's freaking
Sort of
awesome.
like Jason. Sort of like Jason.
So to say, and
I'm too
listen,
heavy for the
everybody
elevator,
has
Chris.
their own opinions, but to say that card's ugly, it has no eye appeal. And then I saw all these people going, that's not a 3. How could that be a 3? You're missing the whole freaking point, man. There's 9 of those, and that's an 18-year-old Babe Ruth. So there you go. That's my soapbox.
Very good. I love that box.
Shut
I'm going
up,
to use that when I
Dylan.
discuss number 1. I'm just going to say what Tony said.
I'm just
Oh,
joking,
man.
Dylan. I love you. Everybody's got their own thing, but I just think
Yeah,
it's
man.
cool.
Okay, Dan has made me laugh on his last thing more than anybody else.
When are you going to get those elevators?
I'm going to tell Dan that he's wrong because Babe Ruth was on that elevator with me and Mike Canadian Card when we got stuck on the elevator. I'm just saying.
Amazing.
I'm laughing now. That is hilarious.
I think Steven got stuck too, didn't he? I think Steven with a PH was also stuck at some point in time.
Mike and I became very close, kind of biblical when we got stuck alone.
Let me put it this way. When he was playing for that team right there, he was still a ward of the state, man. They couldn't trade him. They couldn't sell his contract without getting permission from the brother or he wasn't called a father. It was brother. I can't remember his name at the boys' home at St. Mary's or whatever it's called. So that's who's on that card right there.
Man, you should have moved that to number 1, Tony.
Yeah, and so 13 years later, he's on the 27 Yankees, and he's worldwide known. Like the Japanese are yelling at the GIs as they charge over the hill that Babe Ruth sucks, just to piss them off. So so he's the goat of all goats, man. Yeah, brother Matthias, that's it.
All right, man. Let's get to Aaron's pick. Also picked the Ruth.
Yeah. I think we're mostly right so far. The I was thinking about that idea of the like emotional and excitement and all that stuff, and I think the commonality we have, regardless of what our twist is it's the hunt. We all really enjoy that, like impossible to find, and we love the story. And I think the story goes from like, I was with my dad, I was with my uncle, I was with whatever, to like all this research and knowledge we have on how impossible it is to find. And now we find it, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's it's here. I can actually make this happen. So I think we're kind of like our own stories more than having it just be kind of happening to us. But yeah, for me, it's the same thing. It's the Babe Ruth is ridiculous and amazing, but I think if you show that to people, they'd be like, it's a Babe Ruth, neat. It's just like the yellow one you have down there, right? Like, no, not at all. Not at all. I think you'd have to explain to somebody what it is. And for me, there's as much as, iconic is almost where I'm like steering away from. I think we're definitely splitting hairs when we're getting into like things that have a pop of 50 and a pop of 10, because either way, I'm not walking into card shows and seeing them. If they are, they're behind bulletproof glass and I'm not allowed to touch them. So it's a whole different level to me. But yeah, I mean, we get them all. So I mean, I would definitely pick up the Ruth second. Nothing wrong with the Ruth by any means, but I think for me, the draw would be to the most iconic card in the hobby for me.
Cool, man. I don't want to be a broken record because I think what did I pick? Yeah, I picked it as well. I'm not going to be a broken record. I'm just going to say I picked that one, and we'll just get to the last ones, which I think I'm just going to bring them all up because I think we can all decipher what's what at this point. So, Chris picked the Wagner, Jason picked the Ruth, and the rest of us picked the Wagner as well. So, all right. So I need to ask Tony, Chris, and Aaron, why is Jason wrong?
I couldn't be more right.
I got an answer. I was going to do a write-in vote on an 88 Greg Jeffries, but I didn't.
I think Jason thought it was oversized, and he actually.
That's the problem. I thought that Ruth was actually a 10x14.
Again, so, if you're asking me to tell you why Jason's wrong, first of all, I see Jason every once in a while wearing a Kansas Jayhawk shirt, a Louisville shirt. I think he can only eat like baby food, and then they feed him through a nipple still. I just don't know. But so
wrong with a nipple.
Here's true. So I'm bringing in like something to compare this to. Thurman Munson was an incredible catcher, just incredible catcher in the 70s, one of the best catchers in the world. And after the World Series, Sparky Anderson was asked that Thurman Munson's pretty great. What do you think about him compared to Ruth? And his answer was, don't embarrass anybody by comparing them to Johnny Bench. This card is the greatest card in the hobby. Don't embarrass the rest of the cards, which are awesome cards. But we actually have on here Honus Wagner's card, and we have a Babe Ruth 1933 Gowdy. There, you cannot step far enough. Sammy, you're 6'12". You cannot take a step far enough to connect those two cards. You can't step far enough. This is the greatest. This is the greatest card we've known. That Babe Ruth card's awesome, and there's cards that's going to sell more for more money than that card. But that card has had too much traction for too long a time for some other card to catch up to that card as far as iconicness goes. Mm-hmm. And don't embarrass any other card by comparing it to that card.
Fair. I agree with that, Chris. And fair to say, from a collector standpoint, from a novice or a non-collector standpoint, hasn't the 52 Mantle surpassed it? I mean, if you're talking dollars and just what people know outside, put yourself as a non-collector. I think more people would be more familiar with the 52 Mantle than the Wagner. Sure. I'm not saying that's correct. I'm just saying from that standpoint.
Why should 5 beautiful, gorgeous-looking guys, as Mike Petty would say, that are not novice collectors, give a rat's ass what a novice collector thinks? So
yeah, I mean, a novice collector that's coming in is probably putting the Kobe Jordan pack card above all 5 of these.
Right.
And we would tell them they're dumber than a box of rocks.
Right.
I'm just saying this thing has too much traction in the hobby to be taken over anytime soon. And I get the argument. I get the argument. Babe Ruth's the greatest player of all time, and this might be his greatest card. So why not have the card of the greatest player? But we're talking about cards here. We're not talking about careers. and it's just to me that's an awesome card. Awesome.
Quit making sense. You're embarrassing me. My gosh.
It's that middle Missouri education you're getting there, son.
I mean, seriously, is the Mona Lisa really that awesome? I mean, it's still the freaking Mona Lisa. And the Honus Wagner is the Mona Lisa of our hobby. It just is.
All right, guys. Well, let me bring us back here. I think we've, as I always say, we've hit that.
Hey, I want to hear what
Yeah.
I want to hear what you think about that, though. Seriously, what do you and Aaron? What do you guys think about? Is it this big of a gap? Is it this big of a gap? What do you think, Sammy?
What, between the
Wagner and the Ruth, and the Wagner and anybody else?
well?
I mean, I wasn't trying to speak for you guys.
So,
Seriously.
all right, I'll put it this way: that I mean, if we're gonna go by iconicness, if that's even a word, if we're gonna go by iconic, the gravity of it all, you have to look at how cards have sold over the past like 5 years, and you see that Mantle sold for what, 12 million, and I mean it's crazy, and you compare that to the Wagner, which I think sold for, I can't remember, it was like 7 million or so.
7 or 8.
7 or 8 million. So you compare that. I mean, people, I might be off by saying this, but I think when it comes to the 52 Mantle versus the Wagner, people gravitate more towards connecting their mind to the Mantle, because post-war seems to kind of just draw. It has a bigger audience, I think. It just has a bigger audience. Not to pull anything away from pre-war, because that has a gigantic audience too, but Mantle is an iconic name to not only collectors but to baseball fans in general. Honus, and as Jason mentioned earlier, Honus Wagner, if people, non-collectors, know the card, they wouldn't be able to kind of go through the biography of what impact he left. But
It's like comparing LeBron to Michael to George Mikan, right? I mean, let's be real. George Mikan was the greatest of his era. His rookie card's phenomenal. I mean, now we're talking just play. Again, Chris made a great point. We're talking about cards, though. But at the end of the day, how many people are going to know who Mikan is? They might know his name, but Jordan's Jordan, right? And the 52 Mantle is the 52 Mantle. So that's kind of how I view that.
Aaron shaking his head.
I think the Honus Wagner, to me, is the reason rarity, scarcity, and the story of the card. Like the Mantle, the story of the card is it's a Mantle. The Wagner has it was stopped in production. There's only 50 of them. That we thought there was 10. There was a find. When there's a find of Mantles, you're like, cool, 10 more. Neat. Someone's going to make a killing in an auction. When you find a Wagner, you're like, oh my God. Like it deserves its own article. It's a big deal. That's so.
There's only 60 of them.
Yeah, there's still not a whole lot of men for years when I was a kid that we thought there was like 11, and then you find 2 more, and you're like, oh my gosh, now there's 13. But
one of them's at a half, and they built it into a whole one. Yep. It's still worth a fortune.
But how much how many of the Baltimore Ruths are there? There's like 12.
There's 9.
9? Okay.
But that's so then you're getting.
Guys, there's some rarities though that there's some rarities out there that are going to sell for more than that someday. But they don't. These don't sell very often, right? And
well, I mean, the Ruth went down by $3 million. Went from 7.5 to like 4.3 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So,
I just wasn't going to write any more on that check. That's all I had to say.
You were done.
Maybe someday, but it's it's hard to speculate because. You're seeing how it's what was the difference in the years between when that card sold for 7.5 to 4.2?
2 years.
2 years,
yeah. I mean, there's so many factors that can go into that, but I mean, one can only hope that card gets back that level of desirability, even more so than maybe today, but. Yeah, to speak on what you're saying, Aaron, as far as going back to the Wagner, the story behind it, understanding how prestigious of a card it is for those reasons, makes like a world of sense. And there's always going to be desirability after that card. And the only reason why the mantle, I mean, you look at the mantle and probably why it sold for a lot more, is because, again, there's a lot. I think, I don't know if you guys agree, but there's definitely a lot more eyes looking at that because of how it's represented. But I mean, it's not like the mantle's up here and the Wagner is like far down. I think they're in the same stratosphere. It's just the mantle has a little bit more of an edge.
It's also timing, right? So 25 years ago, was the Wagner was the pinnacle already at that point, and the 52 Mantle certainly wasn't, right? So it's timing. Time has progressed, things have moved on. Older generations of players are being forgotten about, and Mantle's still fresh on the minds of the baby boomers who happen to be our parents or grandparents at this point in time. So there's a little gravitas with that. The Honus Wagner, most people who I'm certain everybody who watched him play, they're no longer around. So
all right. Well, listen, guys, I want to say thank you guys for joining. I know we can kind of dive into this further, but I guess we'll have to save it for another time, maybe the 100th episode. But appreciate you, Chris, Aaron, Tony, for joining. I hope it was a lot of fun for you guys. It seemed to be a lot of fun for the chat. A lot of people seem to really gravitate to this concept. So maybe in the future we'll do this again. But thank you, everybody. Hope you guys have a good start to your weekend filled with card shows, shops, auctions, a whole 9 yards. Buy some cards. We'll see you soon.
Go Vols.
Yeah, go Vols.
Rock chalk.